Hey there, welcome to my channel. In 1918, the world was at war. But far deadlier than any weapon of war was a tiny virus that brought the world to its knees. This is the story of the forgotten plague, the Spanish flu of 1918. When the First World War broke out in 1914, people across the globe were hopeful that science and technology had advanced enough to make warfare safer. For the first time, poison gas, flamethrowers, and tanks were used. By 1918, millions of soldiers and civilians had died. And with the war entering its fifth year, people's hopes for a quick end to the conflict were fading fast. Little did they know that something far more deadly than any weapon of war was about to be unleashed. On March 11, 1918, an American soldier was admitted to a military hospital in the small town of Funston, Kansas. He was suffering from a high fever, chills, headache, a cough, and agonizing pain in his chest. Within days, he was dead. The doctors had no idea what had killed him, but they soon would find out. By late summer, cases of a strange new flu were popping up all over the United States. At first, it seemed like just another influenza outbreak. But this flu was more deadly than normal. It killed young people who had no underlying health conditions. It killed so many people so quickly that overwhelmed hospitals began turning away patients. As the sick kept getting sicker and dying, doctors realized this was not a normal flu. They needed a new word to describe it. A Spanish newspaper was the first to use the term la gripe, which eventually evolved into the English term the grippe. While the disease was later named after Spain, the country wasn't actually the first to be hit. It started in the U.S. The reason it was named after Spain was because that country was neutral in World War I. Unlike most of the countries where the disease was found, Spain was hit particularly hard by the virus, leading to the widespread use of the term Spanish flu. But how did the virus get from Kansas to the rest of the world? The answer is the same way it got to Europe and Asia: soldiers. Soldiers carried the disease back to their home countries after being exposed to it in training camps and on battlefields. Within weeks of the first cases in the U.S., the flu was sweeping across Europe and Asia. By October, it had reached pandemic proportions. In some places, it spread faster than people could die from the war. Entire villages in India were wiped out in a matter of days. Some areas were so badly hit that entire towns had to be evacuated. But even though the flu was killing so many people, the war continued. The Spanish flu was especially deadly to soldiers. At first, commanders tried to hide the extent of the problem. They didn't want the enemy to know that the flu was weakening their forces. That led to thousands of healthy soldiers being sent to fight, only to become infected and die. Eventually, the truth came out. The Spanish flu infected an estimated 500 million people worldwide, 1/3 of the global population. 50 million people died. 675,000 of them were American. The death toll was so high that the flu killed more people in a single year than the bubonic plague did in 5 years. Even though the Spanish flu was the deadliest pandemic in history, it was also the most forgotten. When the armistice ending World War I was signed on November 11, 1918, the flu was largely over. But because of the war, people didn't have time to grieve. They had lost so many loved ones to war that they didn't stop to mourn those lost to the flu. Almost overnight, life returned to normal. And by 1920, most people had forgotten the flu even happened. That might be why today almost nobody knows about the Spanish flu of 1918, even though it was the deadliest pandemic in history. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out my other videos. See you next time.